All right, here we go.
Hi, welcome to episode 7 of the Forefront Podcast. We have a new guest with us today, Steven, and the OG Jack Liggins. I don't know if you want to do a little intro, Steven.
Hey
Got a
guys,
little theme uh, for us, or
uh, you know, no, I don't have a theme song, but I'm obviously, I'm very concerned with the issue of genital mutilation. Obviously, it's obviously, clearly the most important thing in the world right now. And so,
well, you're in the right place.
I've known Carter for a very long time. I've known Jack for a very long time. Actually, I've not known Jack for a very long time. I've known Jack just starting this year, but they have been doing the podcast. We've been talking a lot, and I said, you know what, fuck it, let me join. I was a little nervous at first, to be honest, but you know what, I'm a very sensitive person. That's why I was nervous, but they talked me into it, and so here I am. I'm
Oh
doing it.
yeah, well, glad to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
So right off the bat, we are going to dive into some React content, the content that triggers the shit out of all of us. So I was reading this stuff last night and this morning actually, and went into an absolute fucking fit of rage. As many of you probably that are watching this have these same experiences, went into the whole doom scrolling and lost my mind. And that's kind of the story of my life recently. So it can really spin out of control pretty quickly reading all of this degenerate content that exists online around the subject matter. And really it just reveals the current state of things and how far we have to go with this social dynamic around male genital mutilation, both domestically in the United States and globally around the fucking world here. So we're gonna get into some of that right now. Just gonna start sharing my screen. Actually, first, what I wanted to share real quickly with the audience is an app that Forefront is working on called Mutilator DB. So I'm going to run the dev server. It's a application that we are largely building out with AI tooling, particularly Claude Code and the Opus model within Claude Code. And we just started this, probably only spent 20, 30 minutes on it so far, and it's in its infancy right now. We're going to expand this further, but it's basically going to be a site where you can list mutilators, in other words, physicians, nurses, or doctors, in other words, nurses and mohels, and you can list them to this database, and then we're going to display them on this database. Don't have much to share in regards to that right now, but in the next Forefront podcast episode, we will have more of a user interface to share, and it'll actually be fully functional in the sense that you can create an account on Mutilator DB. I think that's possibly even the domain name we're going to go with, and you can start submitting mutilators to our database here. So that's something that we'll get into more of a demo next time around because we don't have too much substance to share at the moment. But I think this is going to be a really interesting project with some potential for virality. Um, and we're going to make it really mobile responsive so people on social media can easily share and distribute this site with other people and view like their mutilators and things like that. We're going to have comments on this site as well, so you can comment on these people's profiles and kind of leave your say your piece to them. And hopefully, with some of these physicians and nurses and mohels, we can actually rank in the Google search engine results page. So, like, somebody looks up this person's name, like maybe even one of these doctors or nurses' family members. They look up, Richard Resnick was the man who mutilated me. They look up, one of Richard's sons or something looks up Richard Resnick and they just see their father, the mutilator, on Mutilator DB. So that's how we're trying to impact these people, assassinate their character, not literally assassinate them, but figuratively their character we're trying to assassinate here.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be huge. I was telling Carter that with this particular application, I I'm extremely bullish on it. I think that I was saying that I think it's going to have a very large impact on people's, just how serious they take the issue of circumcision because it's really something that should exist anyway because it just will communicate clearly like, hey, listen, people are so angry that we're building a database to, just for records, just for our records to see who was really responsible for this atrocity. And I mean, it's like if you look back at, other atrocities, they didn't really have this tool. So it's actually kind of interesting that we're going to be able to have such vivid documentation about who exactly was responsible for what was going on here. So I think it's going to be huge, and I think it's going to be talked about all over the news. I mean, call me crazy, but call me a little bit optimistic here or something like that. But I think this is something when this blows up, it's going to really blow up, and I think this website is really going to. It's really going to. Every podcast is going to talk about it. People are going to be looking at it. Everyone's going to be talking about it all over, from kitchens to on the internet, and basically just everywhere, all over the internet, and whatever. So I really feel this is going to be a huge thing, this Mutilator DB, and I'm happy that it's coming to exist. Really,
It it's
anyway,
reminiscent of the T app, which I think I spoke about with you guys prior to recording this
yeah,
podcast. For the people that aren't aware, the T app was a viral app earlier this year for exclusively for women. They would have to prove that they were a woman to get on the app,
wow,
to then post about men on dating apps, and then you have different people who dated the same guy, the different women who dated the same guy, like meet on that guy's profile and talk shit about him on the profile. So
yeah,
I'm imagining this app can have a lot of the same viral components that had. And maybe I want this to be an app as well. I mean, I'm open to what you guys think, but I want it to be an app for people like us, like the victims of this atrocity. So I don't know exactly how that would work and how we would verify that, but I kind of want to copy some of the viral aspects of the T app. And like you have to be a circumcised guy to get on the app. I don't know how we enforce that except doing dick inspections. There's probably a better way to do that. But we can talk about exactly how we want it to go.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Maybe I
That's
don't know.
funny.
We should let anyone join it, but that is hilarious though. That's
I
Yeah,
funny.
want it to be I want it to be exclusive a little bit. That's what gave the T app some of its virality.
Maybe.
yeah. Well, I mean, I was able to weasel my way onto the T app a little bit myself as a man. I just posted myself. I was like, look at this guy, total toxic, misogynist, beats women, slaps them around. Because I knew that that's what women are really attracted to. So I just painted like the worst possible person, and these bitches just started hitting me up left and right, like, oh shit, that's the guy right there, that's the dude. So
I want mutilators to do the same thing. I want them to sneak their way onto our app and write themselves the most scathing mutilation review so that parents will go flock to them because that's what they want. They want the most prolific mutilators.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. You guys are.
Okay. Anyway, though, um, yeah, so we'll share more about that next time around in the next session here. We'll have more of a fleshed out UI, and even right after the episode, anyone will be able to go and list their mutilator on Mutilator DB. And this is just a flagrant name and shame app, right? This is designed to diminish the status of pieces of shit in our communities.
Yes.
So
Much.
encourage all men, get the information from your parents if necessary, however you need to get this information, and even finding out the nurses that potentially were involved in this. And even if it's not related to your mutilation, if you know a nurse, if you know a doctor in your life that is a mutilator, get them on this database. And we are going to have great SEO. The technology infrastructure that we're using to build out this application will allow us to really easily create static pages. I'm not going to get into the whole technology infrastructure necessarily, but long story short, we're going to have great SEO. We're going to have great metadata included for the search engine. So we're trying to rank very highly in the SERP, the search engine results pages, for the individual mutilator profiles. And so ideally, the hope is that you look up these people's names, will be in the top five results for these different mutilators and nurses and mohels that are out there. Cool. All right, well,
Yeah.
on to, yeah. If anyone, yeah, you guys got anything else to comment on that, or we'll move to the React content?
Yeah. We also, I will say, that we also will likely have politician pages, so not just mutilators. So if you want to like, if we want to document like, oh, this politician supported it and this politician didn't support it, we can like have a score, like, someone like who supported heavily would have like an F score, and someone who's like opposed to it outright would be like, like an A score, like a
Right.
A B C D F, something like that. So I'll have that also as well.
Maybe,
Politics, yeah,
maybe that's a separate app even, or we find a way to incorporate it in, but also just like public figures in general.
public figures in general. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Like
also
include like a history on what Pink said in the past, right? The whole story with Pink.
exactly, Pink can have one, but then also we can extend it to even just like random people who are just like commonly
That piss
people,
us off online. We'll just
right?
throw them out.
People who are just online saying, "Hey, we support it," and any random person who isn't really famous or anything, we could still say like this person has a profile. You know what I mean? And so yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
when the FBI shows up to my house, I know why. That's all I'm going to say. So I know why that's happening.
probably, maybe, who knows? It's
Yeah.
all legal. It's all legal, I think.
I
I
think
hope.
we think, yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Well, I'm going to get into the React content now.
all right,
It's Mutilator DB.
yeah,
Alrighty. So first off, there was a post on X the other day where this account, Hunter Statistic Urban, um, and I think all of these, well, this data is actually 100% accurate. Like when they list the amount, like the different metrics for what the circumcision rate is in each state, that has to be highly, highly, highly speculative, obviously. But this is actually just the Medicaid coverage map. So, does Medicaid cover infant circumcision in 2025? The orange is yes, the blue is no. So, you can see here the states that don't.
yeah.
And originally, this individual, interestingly enough, they deleted their comments, but they originally said that this was a bad thing. They're like, oh, well, Medicaid should cover it in all the states. And the fact that they don't is, causing a drop in circumcision rates. And that's problematic because of the increase in sexually transmitted diseases and things like that. So that person originally made that argument. Some interesting comments in here. A lot of people are against it. But we came across one that was particularly interesting from someone here. I'm going to go down to it right now. This guy actually might have deleted it. Unfortunately, I'm going to go to my profile though, real quick. Where is it? Here it is. I'm going to go to replies and oh yeah, there were some interesting ones. So this is somebody who replied to this chart, and this was actually a separate chart. This was actually the one that I was looking for originally, and this one got 3,000 likes, interestingly enough. But and I don't know if this is accurate. They say the circumcision rate is slowly but steadily declining below 45% nationwide. I don't know. What do you guys think about that metric? I mean, it sounds um to me to be too good to be true, but it's hard it's so hard to get an accurate reading on this. Um
Yeah, I believe that.
Here's
I,
what some guy named Jason Fairfield said. He was actually, this is an alias. He has a different real name. Sorry to interrupt you, Stephen. I was just going to say this was what I was looking for. So this is the last thing I'll finish on,
yeah.
and then you can go. But
Okay.
he was actually at the Intact Global Conference. He uses a different name. I'm not going to reveal his name right now, but he says the current U.S. circumcision rate in 2025 is 70%. That's also very speculative. There's no way he knows that for certain, but I think it probably is closer to this than 45. And it's saying this chart shows the decline in maternity ward neonatal circumcisions only and fails to take into account the rapid rise in post-maternity doctor visits circs. It's never been under 70% since 1950 and peaked at 90% in 1960. And this guy really is like a circumcision historian, basically.
I think I know who you're talking about too. I think did he give a presentation by any chance?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, okay, then I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, I was gonna say I think that I think it is slowly, slowly, slowly declining. But I don't think that it's I don't think it's really rapidly declining because I do see children who, very commonly, whether it's people I know or just parents that I'm exposed to in some way, just
Yeah.
going through life, you know what I mean, meeting people. There are still a lot of kids. It just happens all the time still. You know what I mean? So, that's the thing. So, yeah.
And then we see this interesting coming from this guy here, Gappa Lappa Slappa Sloppy Slappa here. He says, I'm a pediatrician who performs at least 75-80% of these annually. So I bookmarked this. This boy's going on Mutilator DB. So welcome. Hey, welcome to the site, baby. He's going
That
on there. Gloppy Sloppy's going on there.
it would be nice if we get his real name though. Is that his? That's not.
I don't know. He's
I would.
going on though. And thankfully
Yeah,
everyone's talking down on him.
that's good. I'm
So,
terrible. It's very
yeah.
scary. Like that scare me. Yeah.
Even if the circumcision rate is going down,
Yeah.
it would not be satisfying to me at all if this went quietly into the night. And I was talking to you guys a little bit about this yesterday, but not
Yeah.
recorded. I think what I was saying is even if, let's say, the circumcision rate in the US went down to 1%, what you're saying is I would have been the 1%. So I was born to a Jewish household. So if you're saying, oh, we're just going to slowly let the rate go down and it'll end up at something very small, what you're saying, if you're okay with that strategy, is that you're okay with this having happened to me and you wouldn't have wanted to protect me. And not only that, if this was only happening to 1% of the people in the world, and I was one of those people, I would be even more completely alone, if that's even possible, than I am today. Like, I wouldn't have you, Carter. I wouldn't have you, Steven. I wouldn't have almost anybody else to even talk to this about. So when you're saying you want the rate to go slowly down, I guess in some ways that's good, but that's completely unsatisfying to me. And I think, like I said, you're saying one, you would have wanted it to still happen to me. And then two, we're abandoning the small percentage of men that it is still going to happen to even more. You're saying, yes, we got the rate to go down, but that small percentage of men, we don't care about you because the rest of the men were spared. And I don't find that an acceptable state of affairs at all. No,
Yeah.
no half measures. Don't let it go part of the way down. It needs to go to zero and end up in a spot where it can never resurface ever again.
Yeah. 100% agree. I would. It needs to be to zero, like as soon as possible. And yeah, it's not really what's happening currently. Is not really what's currently happening in this country and just worldwide. Is we need to gain more momentum as a movement and really just make this the number one story all day, every day. This is like the number one issue everyone's talking about. And yeah, it needs to go to zero immediately. But yeah, I agree with you. You're absolutely right. Totally right.
Like my whole pitch is like we need to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. So when I hear that we need to make religious exemptions at first, or that should be incorporated into our strategy at first, we should not be trying to target the religious dimension of this initially. That just makes me want to crawl up into a fucking ball and just abandon intactivism entirely when I hear that shit. Not in the sense that I abandon, trying to criminalize this and police it, but just distancing myself from anyone who advocates for that. I think, I even understand the wisdom in that, but I just can't I can't emotionally accept that or philosophically accept that at all, absolutely at all. And I feel like I'm just abandoning my own morality when I hear that, or if I were to agree to something like that. So for me, it's totally off the table. I advocate for criminalizing, policing, and disciplining, not just in the United States, but globally, and even taking it even farther and saying, hey, a major, um, our policy as the federal government should be targeting this domestically. Like our federal government should be involved in criminalizing this, and also internationally. Like if we need to land on the shores of South Korea and the Philippines and with militant force these people to comply, then that's exactly what we're going to do. Um, so that's where I'm at. That's the level that I take it to. That we're going to use the United States military to control this internationally. And that's how we're going to get it to zero for men and women. Like in the most remote Congolese village, I'm just going to show up. Hey, it's the white man again. He's fucking back, baby. And we're going to be doing things a lot differently here now.
Sorry about the other.
So, so
Why?
they just can't get away from these white boys, can they? We just keep showing up.
Well, this time,
First, we were telling them to circumcise. Now we're coming back.
yeah. Well, we're saving. We'll be doing the good thing this time.
Yeah. They're like, right, right.
Exactly, Zach.
But the bottom
Why are
line
we
is they'll have no
dumbing?
choice. We're just going to show up, paratroop down in 10,000 men, and we're the anti-mutilation squad. There's no argument, there's no discussion. It's do as we say, or we're going to sleep dart you and psychologically engineer you differently. So you're going into a rehabilitation center. We just sleep dart these people and drag them into rehabilitation centers and change their minds. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Why are we dumbing down our message to beg people to join? That seems to be the wisdom of all the other strategies in the movement today, is to not express ourselves fully. Oh, we truly do behind closed doors want to stop religious genital mutilation, but we're not going to say that yet. Why? Where am I supposed to go? Wait, is there any single spot on Earth that will validate how I'm feeling? That will speak for me as the victim of this? Why even in the spaces that are supposed to agree with us is all of the language being catered to convince the people that don't agree with us? Who stands up for me? Even on the fringes of the internet, the 100 people that actively engage with this issue, people don't want to stand up for me. People tell me that's not strategically beneficial to try and stop it even in religious cases, or it's not beneficial for to speak extremely about it. But then who's standing up for me? There is almost nobody, not a single soul in the entire world.
In the
That's just so
world, yeah, it's
isolating.
fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said earlier. I think that we are the smartest people in the world.
Yeah.
Understand this. Apparently, I don't know. Not to sound conceited or anything, but from the looks of it, based on the facts, pretty straightforward to be against this. Not that hard. You would think it wouldn't be that hard. We're the only ones doing it. So, based on those two logical points, it seems that we must be just like 200 IQ, the smartest people in the world. We didn't realize it. So,
Yeah, well, how about this? We invite, if anyone's in opposition to us, come on the podcast and let us know. Let us hear your argument.
exactly. I'm happy to be
So,
not wrong, but anyway, I mean,
and I think that's what our opposition really, really fears here. They'd love to talk to someone like Marilyn Milos or Brother K,
yeah,
right? They would shit their pants talking with somebody like me,
yeah.
right? That is literally their greatest possible nightmare that they could ever face. All the old guard activists, really a lot of the opposition would be comfortable having conversations with them, to be honest with you. I think that's part of the problem here. They would say it's the opposite. Oh, we need to, be able to communicate with these people and um, get into their networks and things like that. But I take a very different approach.
Apparently, yeah. No, your approach is the right approach, honestly, and that's why I support it. And basically, if you're not being militant towards this, I mean, were they just like when slavery was going on? Were they just like were they like, hey, we would like slavery, we'd like whipping to be ended in the next 10 years, and then maybe 10 years after that, the chains we can remove. It's like no, we just want slavery.
Yeah, I
Totally.
mean there were a portion of people, and there were a lot of people who were like, yeah, it's going to be criminalized eventually, but we're not going to lift a finger.
Exactly. Well, I'm not that. I don't know that much about the history of slavery, but you basically know what I mean. We went to
Yeah.
war. People went to war basically. They went to war to just end slavery outright in a very short amount of time. And so it's like that's the reaction that this atrocity warrants. You know what I mean? So that's why we need to. This is what we need. That's what it warrants. And so we need to aggressively, very aggressively. Attack this atrocity and attack it from all angles and anything's on the table. I mean, this is like it's the worst thing ever. Raping newborn babies. I mean, even saying it out loud is just obviously just outrageously evil. I think it's worse than slavery, honestly. Not to have
With slavery, here's what I say about slavery. Like what you're working towards
hey,
is the real solution for you.
right?
Like, oh yeah, I ended slavery, now I'm fucking free. So
Yeah,
there's like a objective that you win. with us, we win and we're still mutilated. Obviously there's, criminalizing this is necessary, but
Yeah,
we don't really come out on top in the end. So, and I think that's a big barrier for a lot of men is it's
yeah,
just this unfathomable self-sacrifice you have to make, and then you're still mutilated in the end.
I I
Yeah.
can
hmm.
I can
See,
never get unmutilated, but that's why I'm shooting for complete cultural dominance. I want the next 10 years worth of Broadway plays to be entirely about this issue. I want the next 10 Super Bowl halftime performers to be circumcised as a prerequisite to even being invited. I
Right.
want everyone to recognize the significance of this issue culturally and to amplify it a million X.
Absolutely. Yeah, the change the Pledge of Allegiance. It starts off with, "We will never mutilate again. We are so sorry to all the victims we mutilated as a country." That's the new start of the Pledge of Allegiance.
yeah, you're right. It needs to. You're right. It is a essential part of our history, and it needs to be treated as such. You
The
know what I mean?
mutilator generations, 1900, at least in America, like
Yeah,
1900 to hopefully 2030, where we
yeah.
ended here.
And we need to do. I was going to say that it's the I think that it's hard to have these conversations, but it's not really fun to say. But I mean, things are so it's such a horrible, outrageous atrocity that the means will typically. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to make things horrible, have horrible things happen, but I'm just saying that I think that the means would probably justify the ends in certain cases where it's like I'd rather have certain things happen than this happen. Like this is so horrible that other things, and it's not something I want to happen. I'd prefer this never happened at all, obviously. But I'm just saying that certain things happening, would be pretty justified. Honestly, we need to attack it as hard as we can. Basically, is what I'm saying. Let's put it that way. Uh, if you catch my drift.
I think we're able to read between the lines there. Yes.
But anyway, yeah, you heard me exactly. Uh, yeah, exactly.
It's
But
time for the gulag. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't know about that. But yeah,
Gulag in Call of Duty.
for sure. Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, we're how much time do we have left in the call, by the way?
10 minutes.
Getting there
10
sweet.
minutes left.
Good 10 minutes left. Good, exactly. Yeah.
I think we should bring back
I
cruel
thought
and unusual punishment. Like
Yeah.
I think
Why did we get rid of that? Yeah.
maybe.
like maybe we should, people that are on the wrong side of this or who participated, maybe we should have new laws that say as punishment, in addition to jail time, you are stripped naked and left in the middle of Times Square for a couple hours.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, well, I don't know, but
Here's how I think it's going to work, not to reveal the whole strategy, but once we are actually have a type of cultural takeover and we are in a position of dominance, it's possible that our feelings will very quickly change. I think a big reason why we're so radically hostile is because of how severely we're being diminished culturally and basically spit on. I mean, it's a metaphorically being spit on is what it feels like every single day. And we're just getting enraged by the response that we get. And once there's a level of like submission from the public and a real acknowledgement, hey, we just, mutilated men in mass. We did in mass mutilations of men, and our behavior was atrocious. And
yeah,
it wasn't just an education problem. We had catastrophic flaw. If we can get to that point, then I think psychologically for us, we might be in a position to forgive. But I am not in a position at all to be able to forgive a society in any fucking way. I mean, this is why we're discussing disciplines so frequently is because we're in a cultural situation right now where we are literally getting pissed on by the public. I mean, they think they have the right to laugh in our face about genital mutilation. That's the majority of the United States right now. Um, and just
yeah,
completely diminish everything we're saying about the consequences of amputating sexual anatomy. They'll laugh in your face and say you're a weak little weasel for even bringing this up, and advocating for yourself even in the most minimal of way. So for me, that's partially what's just causing this extraordinary level of radicalization is we've turned into such a sensitive society in so many different ways in terms of acknowledging wrongs, But then men in this instance get abandoned in a way that is just completely ghoulish and absolutely cruel that drives men to militancy. So I wonder, how we're actually going to feel once we have a genuine cultural takeover. And they're now in the position where um, they're the ones being belittled and diminished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
will.
think the scariest part is that we're right. So if you're listening to us opine about weird punishments, the scariest part for you listening should be that we're right and we're coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So
Yep.
what's your argument? Opposition, come in and have a discussion with it. We'd love for you to come in and tell us how your rights that you have the authority to amputate sexual anatomy, the primary sexual sensory anatomy that has profound utility on the male penis, why you have any right to violently have that amputated from your infant son. Make that argument. Come on here.
Yeah, I'm
Because
not really.
our argument is this is a felony sexual battery, and we're going to radically reimagine your life if you do this to a child. You're committing felony sexual battery. It's a criminal offense,
Yeah.
and it's the highest order of criminal offense. And you will forever be seen differently because of this.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say that, yeah, I mean, in terms of, by any means or whatever, I mean, that's just, I'm also, yeah, I'm trying to illustrate how severe of a crime this is. I mean, it's just not this isn't a small thing that you're doing here. This is an atrocity on the scale of slavery or genocide. It's like, it's not a small thing. And it's like, also in terms of an apology, I mean, or forgiveness, it's like, you need to apologize before I forgive. I mean, these people, it's an ongoing thing. You know what I mean? It's like, these people aren't really apologizing at all. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really not something that we're at that stage yet. And yeah, I mean, yeah, we can't just forgive like that without an apology. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that, yeah, I will say that, yeah, it'd be nice to have some other person on the show and fucking, just, talk to them. Although I will say I'm not going to really even breathe life into a fucking pro circumcision argument. So I wouldn't really want to hear a talk to a circumciser and have them tell me it's like, oh, it's good for you or some shit like that. I don't want to breathe life into the lie by even debating it. So I would rather have someone who's maybe more tangentially that before I do that. But anyway, I'm just saying it probably would be nice to have someone else on the show. We can, we can ambush them.
Yeah, we'll try and find someone. I think that they're um, going to check out some of our content, and it's going to be really hard to find somebody, I think, that would be comfortable coming on this podcast as we're talking about severe discipline. I mean, if they've, done this to a child, but who knows? We're always open to it though. But what I would say is I did invite somebody. Her name's Megan Ramey, I believe, and we're gonna see if next weekend she can join. She's always on doing intactivism on Facebook, and so I invited her on just to see if she would want to share her context and share her story.
Okay. Is she sort of pro circumcision? No, how
Oh,
much
not at all. No, she's a hardcore intactivist. Yeah.
good. I'm into that. All right, sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have some reservations about. I mean, I'm definitely interested from an academic standpoint in
Yeah.
debate, but from a social justice and power standpoint, I'm a little bit concerned in some ways platforming circumcisers.
No, I agree.
Even if we can, really destroy their arguments, just in general, just giving them it, just even like acknowledging them as participants in this discussion with us.
Maybe I don't know. I didn't want to breathe life into it by even talking it.
So, so I
Anyway,
think
wait.
it's definitely an interesting question. There's a lot in existing popular social justice movements. There's a lot of concern around platforming people on the wrong side, even if you come in and destroy them in debate. There's, college students uprising when a speaker with a political slant they
You're
doesn't
right.
like
I do
comes to
see that at
speak on their
times. I wonder if it had the
campus.
same effect here, but I mainly see it as a concern like, oh, all these um,
Good time wise.
podcasts started platforming Nick Fuentes, and he ideologically captures a lot of people every time that he's on. Um, I don't know if we'd have the same situation at all with a pro circumcision person. I don't think. I think that the whole thing is completely fraudulent, and they can't actually formulate a good argument for this.
And
So
are
If
we?
we edit them to, even if they made something that's like their best point, which is still we're going to destroy it, it's going to be a bad point. If we edit that out, maybe I'm a little bit more comfortable with
okay,
it,
yeah, we're just
Yeah, we're not gonna. I'll leave it.
It's totally
Why not?
that's what we're talking about, the total domination here. Yeah. Well, now that we've revealed all our tricks, I'm not sure if they'll come on, but
They will. Wait, Carter, are we good time wise? Just out of curiosity.
yeah, I do. I mean, we got a minute 50 seconds left, but that's when I do want to wrap up. So let's start winding it
Did,
down here because I'm looking
did,
at the time. I
Let's
got
run.
so much work, and I'm sure my boss will even watch this. So how's it going there, Troy? Check out the videos. So I'm gonna get back to work here shortly, my man.
Yeah.
did,
Um,
did we want to cover the content that I have pulled up? We can save it for next time if we
Next.
want.
Yeah, exactly.
we'd have to start the session again, and I have to splice it together. But I actually would be down to do another video, another session tomorrow if you guys
Yeah,
have time, and we can
maybe.
bring it up again. I'll have way more of the day available tomorrow to shoot this.
Yeah. I will say though, yeah, I mean, it was real. It was a good podcast, and yeah, I'm glad we did it.
Okay, cool. And we'll just
All right.
debrief in on Discord here real quick once we're done.
All right, sounds good.
Alrighty. Okay, I'm gonna end this here.
Sounds good.